I'm kind of unique because I got gray hair early. Like when I was like 23, it really started coming in strong, and now it's like, I don't know if you can tell, but it's pretty bright. So I'm always competing with men in their 50s and 60s. I'm the young option, I feel, and it's funny. It's taken me multiple auditions of me going, why am I here? I'm clearly too young. It took me booking a few of those to be like, oh, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm an option also, you know? And I've been brought back for jobs that the casting director was casting, and I feel like it's just a great opportunity, if nothing else, to just show them who you are, and now they know. They're not holding it against you. They called you in, you didn't call yourself in. Now you got to show them what you're made of, and what you will be right for when the right job comes across their plate. So I was in the waiting room, I'm about to go in, and I'm pretty good, and then a girl comes into the waiting room who I know. And that alone got me thinking, oh God, she's gonna hear me in the room. She's gonna hear my performance, because it's one of those rooms where like the waiting room is just a door away from where you're auditioning, and there's a gap under the door about 2 inches tall, and you can hear every word of every, I don't care if a stranger can hear me, but for some reason in that moment, just knowing that this girl was going to hear me just threw me off my game, and I couldn't finish the audition. I couldn't get through the words. Of course, it was a bunch of doctor jargon. I just couldn't even get through the scene. It got to the point, she was great. She gave me like 3 tries, and on the third one, she was like, okay, thank you, thank you. I was like, around, I'd say about 10 years ago, I gave up on acting because I had a few scary auditions, and I showed up to an audition for a TV show, parked in front, and didn't even go in because I was so afraid. And then this was actually the final straw, is I did a one-liner on a sitcom with a live studio audience. And I never did theater growing up. I've only done commercials and television. And I was having like an out-of-body experience when there was a live studio audience there. And when I said my line and the audience laughed, which I did not anticipate happening, and I'm sitting there holding for a laugh, staring into a celebrity's eyes, my brain was doing somersaults. I was not in my body, and all I could think of when I finished was, thank God I didn't have more lines. Like, thank God I didn't have more responsibility on my plate, because I would have fallen apart. And that, I just had so much fear, and so I quit. When I first moved to Los Angeles, I was I was 18 years old, and I got an apartment, and then, I got a room in an apartment, and then the girl who had the lease on the apartment left me with this really nice place. I mean, whatever, it was an apartment in LA, it was small. I put out an ad, and one day, this guy calls up, and he's got a thick New York accent, and he says, Kayvon, like, Kayvon, is that your name? He's like, that's a badass fucking name, man. That's a bad. And I'm like, you know what, man, get over here. Let me meet you. So this guy comes up, meets me on my driveway, and he is the biggest personality I've ever met in my life. Loud mouth, crazy, giant sense of humor. So I quickly said, get in here, live with me. He was 10 years older than me. He was like in his almost 30 years old. He turned out to be a grifter, like a real life con man. But he became my best friend for about 5 years. So I was a very shy, like I said, really shy kid, really quiet, really reserved. I have no idea how I got into acting with a personality like that. It was just fate or something. But this guy taught me to go after what I want, how to be assertive, how to say what's on your mind, To be around someone so larger than life, living this completely opposite life than I had grown up with, he gave me like an entire other side to draw from. I photograph actors, as you know, and one thing that comes across comes through my studio here once every 15 or 20 actors is somebody with just an innate, very strong sense of self. I feel like I am not born with that, and that's something that I'm developing as I get older. One of my favorite early tricks when you first get your script, I like to identify, there's always a moment in either the beginning of the scene or the end of the scene where the writer has made it relatively to extremely clear what they were intending the scene to be. So there's always an arc. There's always an arc in a scene. It always starts somewhere and ends somewhere. If you don't have that, you're not really creating anything that's going to take your audience along for a ride. So just for simple instance, if there is a screaming fight at the end of the scene with exclamation points, I usually know that the beginning of the scene is not arguing. For us to have an arc to the screaming point at the end, because we know it says they yell at each other or exclamation point, question mark, exclamation point. If that's there, I know that at the beginning of the scene, either they're pretending not to be mad at each other or they are not mad at each other yet. Oftentimes I see, especially now with these tapes online on Instagram, I'm seeing so many scenes with no arc. You know, it's just like they're just playing this idea of a person for 2 minutes, and then there's no conflict resolution, there's no conflict creation. It's just like, I went from only doing commercials to about 2 years ago just knocking out television shows left and right. I did 9 shows in 1 year. Just mostly co-stars, 1 guest star and 1 recur. But I was terrible in basically every single one of them. I mean, I'm a pretty harsh critic, of course, as everyone is, but I got to the point on one of my last ones, which was a guest star, that I knew I didn't do that well on. I got to the point where I had to, I even did this publicly. I did it on Instagram. I said, you guys, I'm terrified of this show that's about to come out. But if I'm going to continue to do this, I'm going to have to be okay with you watching me grow. My failures are going to be public. I'm going to learn in front of you all. And as long as I don't stop, I'm confident that I'll continue to work. But you're gonna see my trips and my falls along the way. I'm not perfect, and I'm not Academy Award material yet, you know? But I felt that was empowering, literally saying it to people. You're just gonna have to watch me grow, because I'm not perfect and I'm not great yet, you know? It's not about the result anymore. Now it's about just having fun doing it, and I find that that is just bringing me more and more work.